Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Dentino?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilch?
Yes.
Ms. Lipscomb?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Abstain?
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Marks?
Yes. May I have a motion for regular minutes for July 25th, 2022?
So moved. Second.
Any questions?
Yes, please. When I was looking at the minutes, I noticed that on 6.6A to 6.6R, all the minutes starts with the superintendent recommends which is fine, but that's not what our agenda said. Our agenda didn't have any of that prior to it. I brought the last agenda, so I really don't feel that the minutes should be changed to alter what agenda we had used last meeting. So I would either I'd like to make a motion to amend them.
We can do that. I can tell you the only reason I did do it was because it was a CUSAC recommendation and they are coming back next month to check up on us to make sure that they want that exact verbiage in any personnel item. So if you see, you'll see it on this month's agenda. So it'll be in the minutes, but if you'd like, I can amend the minutes.
Right, I did see it, but I don't, when did they make that recommendation? Because I don't recall it ever happening, that we had that prior.
We don't recall them ever telling us to do it either. It was a few months ago when they came out and gave us the recommendation.
So Ellen, your concern is that it's not in the agenda, so it should match.
Right.
So start with the agenda
Correct,
and
where
go
it's
from
going
there.
and go from there. So,
I honestly just put it in there because I know they'll be pulling, when they come back next month, they'll be pulling it, but that's fine. We'll put it back to what it was on the agenda and we'll just make it going forward.
Do we need a motion for that?
I'm fine. When we redo the motion as amended.
Okay.
So we'll strike all those.
okay, so as amended.
You need a second on that.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Dentino?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilch?
Yes.
Ms. Lipscomb?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Abstain?
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Marks?
Yes. This time I'll open up the floor for public comments for agenda items only. Yes.
I have a quick question, Gina Henry, am I reading this correctly, that a paraprofessional would make $16,000 a year?
That is correct.
That's like full total salary?
Children. For entry level, yes.
Is that even minimum wage?
It's minimum wage. Exactly.
Yes.
Entry level is minimum.
How is this person even qualify for an apartment?
That's something we can't answer.
I mean, don't you think that, it would be at least $30,000?
We'll take it under advisement. Do I have any other comments for agenda items only? I see none. We'll move on to report of solicitor. Mr. Long?
Only what was discussed in executive session. I have nothing further for the board this time.
Thank you. We'll move on to the report of the superintendent, Mr. Bodo.
Mr. Marks and members of the Board of Education, we all know it is the month of August. We have scant time left, 2 weeks before the school year. And I unfortunately do have several items, Mr. Marks and members, that I would like to quote unquote walk in tonight or read into the minutes. There are a total of 10 items. 10. I will go slow. Okay. Mr. Marks?
Yes.
So we first want to go to item 6.6B as in boy. And we will, one moment, please. These are 3 assistant principal appointments. They are as follows. Tanya Kidd, who replaces employee 5387. Mrs. Kidd will be assistant principal at Choose Elementary School. Her salary will be $95,000 prorated. Her date to begin in Gloucester Township will be October 19th, 2022, and/or completion of paperwork. The second item would be to recommend approval of Scott Markovitz. Dr. Scott, I hope I pronunciated that correctly.
Could
Welcome,
you
sir.
spell that, please?
Yes, M as in Mary, A-R-A, K as in kilo, O-V as in Victor, I-T-S.
Thank you.
And Dr. Markovitz will be the assistant principal at Glen Landing Middle School. He replaces employee 2723. His base salary will be $99,000 prorated. It is estimated that he will begin work in Gloucester Township on October 23, 2022, and/or completion of paperwork. The third principal is Mikhail Jackson. Mikhail Jackson, Mrs. Jackson will be the assistant principal at Ariel Elementary School, who replaces employee 2511. Ms. Jackson's salary base $95,000 prorated. Her estimated start time at Ariel will be October 23, 2022, and/or completion of paperwork. And the fourth item under 6.6B and the final item under 6.6B would be for Isaac Israel. Mr. Israel replaces employee 3625. His position will be para 2, and the salary will be $16,044 prorated. The beginning date is September 1st, 2022, and/or completion of paperwork. Any questions with those 4? I'll move on to 6.6C. Resignations. Employee 5806, assistant business administrator. The last date will be October 14th, 2022. It is. It's technically 60 days. So it's the last Friday. The next item would be under 6.6F. 6.6F. And this would be an addition of a 1-to-1 aide. The name is Vita, V-I-T-A, Mrs. Johnson,
Thank you.
DeStefano. 1-to-1 aide assigned to Ariel Elementary School. And the last, well, the 3 here under 6.6J. The transfers. This will be for Elizabeth Johnson. Mrs. Johnson replaces employee 5572. The assignment, the transfer is from preschool teacher, Choose Elementary School, to preschool master teacher. There's no change in salary. The effective date is October 1, 2022.
Her employee number, please.
2037.
Thank you.
The next item will be for employee 3147, Shannon Cahill. She is a school nurse. The transfer is from school nurse Gloucester Township Elementary School to school nurse and Mullen Middle School. There is no change in salary. It is effective September 1st, 2022. And the last item here under 6.6J is for Janine Horniff. Last month, the board approved Ms. Horniff as a school nurse. However, her location was to be determined. So that transfer is from to be determined to school nurse Gloucester Township Elementary School. There's no change in salary. The effective date is September 1st, 2022. And the final item is apologies. Under item 8.0 old business, I'd like to withdraw both A and B from the agenda. And that's all my changes, Mr. Marks.
Thank you.
So with that, I would like to ask for an approval of items 6.2A through 6.6. Oh, thank you, as amended.
So moved as amended.
Any questions?
I do. On the policies for the student IDs,
Yes.
do we decide on elementary? How are we going to do that?
You're talking about the information on the back of the card?
Mhm.
Right now, we are speaking with our school photographer, Barksdale. The intent right now, Mrs. Gilch, is to only put that on for students grades 6 through 8.
The hotline number?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That was discussed with the policy committee.
All right. 6.2A. When did we have fire drills in July?
Well, anytime we have students in our buildings, like extended school year, Mrs. Gilch, there's a
That's
requirement
what I
that,
thought. I just
yeah.
wanted to make sure. All right. 6.6I.
Yes, ma'am.
This is a pet peeve of mine. I brought this up many times before. Who gets the letters from the staff requests for FMLA or their leave? Because we always seem to vote most times after the fact. And this is a big pet peeve of mine.
Okay, it is my opinion that the majority, if not all of those letters, ultimately get funneled to our HR supervisor to be processed.
So like some of these could have been on the agenda last month, or
Well,
I just don't understand why
wanna
we're
unfairly
voting for
cast-
something that's
but I don't-
already.
I get it, but I don't want to unfairly cast someone who's processing the work. There are at times position notes that come in that are not adequate for the requested leave. And sometimes, even though the date comes in, the date you see, there's an extension of time when everything is, I guess, properly documented, Mrs. Gilch. So I'm not saying that's every one of these.
No, and I'm not, but a lot of times this happens, and I just don't like approving something that's already taken place. I just don't understand why,
And I,
if somebody's taken a leave, I would think they would know a few months before that it should be on the agenda at the right time.
that doesn't always happen. And we don't disagree that it's a federal entitlement. They're entitled to take FMLA.
And I don't dispute
Can
that.
we just look into the
I
timeframe
can,
that's
I
getting
can
to the board level?
speak to the supervisor and see if we can increase these times. Yes,
Thank you.
I'll take a note.
6.6G, do we have track coaches yet for any of these? I see one of the schools didn't have track, cross country. Do you know if they were filled or we don't know?
I do not know the answer to that.
Okay. Yeah, it's cross country, and I know that's coming up because beginning of the school year. So I just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
I think that's all for this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I got a
Any
question.
other questions?
Just, may not have the answer to this, and I'm sorry if I don't, I can take it offline, John. The student journalism policy. There's a section in there, and I don't remember the wording off the top of my head, but there's a section in there that said something along the lines of the student will get notified. The students, their journalistic work can be pulled by the administration if they, for whatever reasons, if they want 5 reasons, it could be pulled. Does the student get notified that their stuff is going to get pulled? That was my question. It's unclear as to how the student is going to learn that their stuff is being pulled in time to make an appeal.
Yeah,
Well, you're right, Mr. Wilson. I don't know the answer to that question. But I will also tell you that in all the years I've been here, I don't think that has ever occurred. So in a scenario that someone were to write something so inflammatory that it would have to be pulled, I think, to be fair to that person who was writing it, and may have been altruistic in that writing,
Right,
they should at least be told, hey, it's not moving forward.
right.
Okay? But
I've
that's-
seen it once in another district and they were told.
They were told.
Yeah.
Same policy.
Yeah.
It's like handed down.
It's a Strauss Esson policy, yeah.
I do have another question, I'm sorry. On the transfer that you just read in for Gloucester Township to Mullen,
Yes, ma'am.
is that a permanent move? Will it be permanent?
I do not believe that is going to be permanent, no.
So
mean, it
you
is-
don't believe, but
It is a 1-year assignment,
1 year?
yes. And it is, Ms. Cahill represents one of our most senior nurses. We were, as far as resources, in a bit of a tough spot as a district. And to her credit, I explained the scenario. And she agreed to go to Mullen for the full year. So, but no, I do think that, Dr. Martin and I still need to talk about Ann Mullen. I do think that she represents a quality person that's going to put that nursing office in Ann Mullen in a much better stead. But for now, it's a 1-year assignment.
All right, I'm just concerned because of her life in a topsy-turvy, so, okay.
So, are we now, we're covered in the, going into the school year? for
We
nurses at all schools, right?
are. I mean, I do think that one of the things that was really a scary thing last year
Right,
was the nurses that left the district and trying to find certified nurses. And it's been a lot of work by administrators, a lot of support from the board to try to pay people, lure them here, get them certified with the state certification for school nurse. So I am happy to report that we have nurses in all 11 buildings to begin the year.
Any other questions? If none, may I have a roll call, please?
Question if I could do this or not. On 6.4D, can I approve that I agree with all but one section of the curriculum that's being presented? We just have to go up and all around.
So it's an attached list.
It's the whole new curriculum, but I want to,
You can
I don't agree with one
take
section of
out,
it.
so I would equate it to, when we do the RFPs for professionals and sometimes there's individual ones,
Okay.
so you can vote no on one aspect of it, yes.
Okay. So on 6.4D, I'd like to vote no on the health and physical education section and yes on the balance.
Mrs. Gilch?
No on 6.6J with the employee 3147. And yes on the balance.
Ms. Lipscomb?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
No on 6.6J, employee number 3147, and yes on the ballot.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
No on policy 3216. Yes, and balance.
Mrs. Johnson?
Abstain on employee number 2037, yes on the balance.
Yes.
Motion.
We'll move on to report of business administrator.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to ask for a consent vote on items 7.1 through item 7.7D.
We have a motion, please.
So moved,
Second?
Any questions?
yes. Under 7.7A, non-public, it says approve and accept funds in the total amount of 84,000 under the non-public security aid program. What is the security aid program?
Provides our non-public schools within the district with funds for them to spend on security projects. All kinds of different things, from cameras. One of the schools bought windows this year. There's a whole handbook that says what they can spend the money on, but it's security related.
It's not SROs? It's not personnel?
I don't know for sure. I'd have to look. I haven't had any of the schools use the money for that purpose,
Okay.
but I would have to check.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I had something similar to that to explain to the public exactly what it is, because you see all this money and I'm not sure people know what it was actually for, so that was my question.
For the 7.7A.
Mhm.
So all of these funds are, it just passes through our district. It's not our money. We have to administer it. So what happens is the state tells us how much money each school gets. The money actually comes to our district. And then the schools, I have to notify them, I have to meet with them and tell them how much money they're gonna get and for what program. And then they will tell me what they want to spend their money on. There's a plan. And then throughout the year, they will give me requests. So textbooks, they tell me what textbooks they want us to buy. So it goes through our purchasing department. Everything would come, run through our district. Most of it will ship right to their schools, but that's how they spend the money. 2 of the 4, we are allowed to charge an admin fee, which we charge the full amount that we are allowed to charge. And the other 2, we are not allowed to charge an admin fee for.
Do we have any control over, or approval control over what they spend it on?
It can't be religious in nature, but other than that, we follow a handbook that says the types of things they can buy.
So to Ms. Johnson's question, right, if they came in with a request for SROs for their school, would we have the opportunity to either approve or deny that?
I can't tell if it's allowable within the law. I can't deny it,
Okay,
but it is my job to make sure that it is allowable within the law.
got it.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I just have a comment. There's a check that I would have considered voting no for, but I don't like to vote no for companies that we have contracts with. But I just like to state that going forward, I'd like if the admin office could be more open and transparent with the board as far as which attorneys they choose for different processes, different matters that happen within the district, because I see a crossover of attorneys that are being used when we have certain ones designated for certain areas.
I have another question too. Sorry.
Okay.
There was a check on here for gas pumps, and I know it was brought up from somebody else. I just want to know, I thought we didn't have any gas pumps. I thought we remediated all that ground and there was no more gas pumps there. Okay, the answer is no. Okay, who uses the gas pumps? Is there a voucher when people get their gas? Or is there a employee number that goes into the system somehow so that we know where this gas is going? Just asking for a friend.
I think she's asking if you can.
The pump-
Do you want
So-
to check or do you want to
Right.
answer?
So all of our buses use our gas pumps.
I'm sorry.
All of our buses use our gas pumps.
Okay.
All of our maintenance vehicles use our gas pumps. The regional district will use our gas pumps. I bill them. We do not have a system currently in place to track by person. When we did this purchase with the gas pump, we did look into installing software that would allow it, but it wasn't going to work for our district. We have too many drivers, too many like some of them were cards, some of them were codes, people can share their codes, cards can get lost. If you have a bus that needs to go pick up students, we can't have it not have gas. It didn't work for us. We haven't had issues where we're noticing that we have any problems with gas. It is right outside of the mechanics bay. There are people there all day long.
You
I
send
haven't
it
heard
on.
any abuse going on.
I'm just curious, because
So it's
We
the
don't
honor
track it
system
by
pretty much?
driver. We don't track it by driver.
I just feel like we should have a voucher or something that they should.
So it's the
fill
honor
out.
system pretty much?
Well, in what regards are you thinking?
If,
like
so how do we
someone
know how many
drives
gallons
it
a
with their
regional
car?
bus takes to bill them for?
That's, yeah, like how many, like how do we know that the regional came and filled up and used 30 gallons and they told us they only used 20 gallons?
We are currently working with the regional district to determine a good way moving forward, how to track. But we do their DRTRS report, which is their transportation report every year, which tells us how many miles each route has. So I can calculate how many miles their buses travel and how much gas that they would be using from us. And then the busing that we do for the regional, where we use our own buses and drivers, it's a percentage that I charge them based on the number of routes they have versus the number of routes that we have. So we could
I mean, how
install
do you
like a
know
tracking
employee doesn't
mechanism.
call
It would
up
have to
and
be like some kind of automated. We can't have someone standing there watching the pump.
Now, I know some
Um,
places have a key and it's an employee number that's got the keys attached, like, you know, I'm just asking. I just want
Yeah,
to
that's
know.
something I would like to look into, some type of, so you know who's burning what.
Yeah.
You need
Yeah.
to have accountability.
Mhm.
So can we look into that? Look at other avenues?
We can.
It is, so we did the units that we ordered does have the ability to put the software package on. It was expensive. So I can give the board the information on the quotes if you like.
So can I follow up on that? Okay, then the $8,214 that's on the bill list with that description, is that for the actual fuel?
That's for the pump itself.
That's for the pump itself. Okay,
And then the labor is actually separate. We had trouble getting a vendor who could actually give us the material and install.
okay. And then I did have another question on a check. On page 26, it was check number 127059. It's made out to the person. The description is ESY Aid Services for $9,316.88. And I guess my question is that one person and that's the money they receive for ESY? And I'm guessing they're not an employee if they weren't paid through payroll.
What is the check number?
127059.
Page 26.
Page 26, I'm sorry.
So this is kind of, we have a bunch of vendors like this. This is a company that they do business as. So we are actually paying this individual, but she is a separate consulting contractor that we use.
So she works ESY?
She did services for us in ESY. She's not an employee here.
So is it written out to her personally or? to
I guess
your
my,
mom?
we didn't have anybody on staff that could do that, that put in for it, I guess, is
We
that?
don't know the
Dr.
answer.
Martin,
Dr. Moore would have
do you
the
want to
answer.
answer that question?
Tell me the check again.
It's Kristen Thompson.
I guess my,
Kristen Thompson is an agency.
Okay.
Great mind. It's, they just, I don't know why it went to her or how they're doing it.
That's
She's the owner of a company that
Okay.
is called Great Mind,
okay,
and they provide, support.
That should be written out to
services
This should be written out to
for
company.
More involved, significantly challenged students.
okay, I thought she acted in the capacity of an aide for the program, because that was a description.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right. All right, I appreciate it, thank you.
Can we find out why that's not going to the business and going to her personally?
It would depend on what's on the W-9. So
Well,
I
I've
can
seen
pull it.
great minds before.
Yeah.
So,
I've seen great minds.
Can you take a look at the W9, Janice, and put back thanks?
Thank you. Have any other questions?
I have one more, please.
Proceed.
We have a check for $8,000 for Dr. Kim. I had asked in the past if we get a breakdown. We don't know exactly how many visits, how many students, how many staff see Dr. Kim. Can we get like a breakdown for them?
I did speak to the superintendent about that after you brought it up before. The contract actually reads that it's a set fee to be paid over a monthly time period. So if the board would like that in the future, you can write that into the RFP that way for the next contract.
Yeah, I think it would be good to know exactly what we're paying for.
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding why a set fee would prevent us from having a breakdown and summary of the amount of students that he's seeing. Would that be in conflict with his contract? That's school information.
It's a fixed rate. If he sees one
No, I
child,
understand.
100,
I
it's
totally
I think the
understand.
answer is it wouldn't, it would just, you have to write it in the new RFP.
Okay,
That's the answer.
maybe we can do that
Yeah.
for the next year, please.
Any other questions? I actually have one on 7.6 buildings and grounds, approval of the small appliances. Was the board forward the price and the appliances we were looking to purchase?
So this is done by, Mrs. Cavallaro put this together. We didn't buy them. These are just existing units within the district, and every year we have to send a list to the county of what we have. So wasn't involved in it, but I would probably say that the list did not change from last year or the year before or the year before that.
Do we have a cost of what we're looking to allocate towards that?
I'm not sure. There's no cost.
It's just the
Usage.
usage, yeah.
Okay, not replacement, I'm sorry. May I have a roll call, please?
This is one of the one that fish feeds and microbes.
Mrs. Dantino?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilch?
No on check number 126907. And yes on the balance.
Ms. Lipscomb?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
No on check 126907 and yes on the balance.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Abstain on the following checks, please. 011510, 011511, 013926, 013927, 126871, and 126919. Yes on the balance.
Mrs. Johnson?
Abstain on check number 126914. No on check number 126907. Yes on the balance.
Mr. Marks?
Yes. This time we'll move on to old business. Ms. Gilda?
Don't have any old, I don't know if it's old business. I don't have any.
Thank you, sir. We'll move on to new business.
I'll put on a new business. Mrs. Gracia earlier had indicated about the county superintendent. We do have a new county superintendent, so Carmen Rodriguez has indicated that for the CUSAC governance piece, they come back and do an interim review. They have notified us that they will be looking at what the district has done to improve the governance piece. They plan to have that meeting on September 27th.
Thank you. Is that all for new business?
Can I ask a question about that? Is that just with the administration?
Government, right?
Typically, yes, it is.
So there's no board representation?
I don't believe so, but I will check. If there is, I'll ask Mr. Mark who he would like to put on there.
Thank you. Any other new business?
Other than I don't know who out here is a new employee, but Dr. Scott, I know that want you to stand and be recognized. I don't know if there's anyone else out there. I'm missing, oh, Tanya Kid. Hi, Tanya. I didn't see you. There are two of our new administrators that are going to represent us, and we're glad to have you.
Congratulations. and welcome. Thank you. This time I'll open up the public comments. Yes.
School year starting, so excited. Are we ready to go fully staffed, 100% show ready? You had a job fair, you did very well in advertising as a marketing person. I saw it, I got it. Very nice. But are you ready to go district-wide for teachers, you know, those little kiddos who need, you know, intervention, all that great fun stuff? Yay, nay, maybe?
Maybe. It's a good question. Today, over the weekend, it's always interesting in late August. We have new people acquiring, two of them just stood up in front of you. So their districts found out, hey, we're gonna find out tomorrow, hey, we're leaving. And we also have resignations this past weekend that we now have to post. We've always, as you know, if you've been to meetings, we need one-to-one aides and we need bus drivers. And I would say if we started tomorrow, we're gonna operate, yes. If we started 10 days from now, we're gonna operate. Do we have some things, some resources that we need? Absolutely.
Always, right?
Do you have a backup
Always.
plan?
Well, listen, this district has gone through some highs and lows in the recent years with COVID. But I think to the credit of the staff, the parents, this board, we're always ready. And we may have deficits in resources, but there's always a workaround. I think it's a lot of cooperation. I would love to have 20 more drivers and be able to like appease a lot of parents. I don't have them. It is still really cutthroat out there on drivers. I know this board is talking about, you know, things for drivers as far as keeping compensation levels high. So, and competitive, really, not high, but competitive. So that is a maybe answer. If you want an honest answer, that's it
No, I love
tonight.
honesty, I love honesty. Next question, do the teachers know, or do you guys have the supplies of hand sanitizer and tissues for the children? They're already, the emails are coming in that teachers are wanting hand sanitizer, they're wanting disinfectant wipes, they're wanting tissues.
We
Wait,
have,
shouldn't that be a district thing?
Yeah, we discussed that.
we do,
Yeah.
we have ordered, we have plenty of hand sanitizer. We just placed an order to stock up on wipes, which we already had enough. This is just even more. We have plenty of tissues. We have everything. I believe the discussion in the past had been that some teachers do just request that those items be brought in.
I will reinforce with the principals. I see them at 9 a.m. tomorrow. I know the instant, what you're talking about. It was, after looking through it, isolated to one building, in fact, one grade level of one building. So I do think that for the most part, there are suggested lists and our teachers do a very good job of using the suggested list. If they kind of go off script, we got to bring them back just to the suggested list.
I just want to make sure that you guys have it. I mean, I'll more than
We
willing to
have it.
provide for my.
We
for my
have
kids,
it.
but
We have enough
We have,
hand sanitizer to light up the Grand Canyon. I
That's
mean,
what I want to hear. That's,
so-
so I'm okay with it. The
yes.
other thing is, monkeypox.
Oh, no.
There's no sharing of clothes, like, and things like that. Like, I mean, like kindergarten kids and preschool kids and things like that. Like, you guys are stopping that, so therefore, you know.
I'm not aware of that type of clothing exchange. But
Because they
I would
dress up,
imagine
you
if
know,
there
they
was a
dress up.
real concern about monkeypox, the Department of Health would be informing the district offices on how to respond and our nurses and administration, and then we'd get word out to the parents. I don't have any of those alert yet to my desk, but you know, we have to be listening and mindful of what the news says, so we'll be alert to it.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Do I have any other comments? Yes.
Gabrielle Mellis, I have a couple questions. When our middle school teachers that we received an email about the schedule change that was voted upon last week?
What specific schedule change?
I'm not sure that, these are questions that were asked for me to ask.
Oh, okay. I'm not aware of a schedule change per se.
And then the other one was, how are teachers, when are they going to be able to log into the portal to start their classroom prep?
Where did Steve Wells go to?
Back right.
Hey,
oh, he's back there.
hey, Steve, did you hear that question? Mr. Wells, our technology supervisor, there was a question from the floor. Could you repeat it, Mrs. Mellis?
When are teachers going to be logged into their portal?
Parent portal was open today. As far as the teachers, that depends on each school finishing their schedule. As schools info as to when they release it. It should, if it's not already, I would assume they go to the parent portals and are ready for their teachers. But I can't say.
Again, Mr. Cho and I have all the principals, a bit of captive audience tomorrow morning, so I took a note. Okay,
Thank you.
it'll
Thank
be
you.
addressed.
Any other comments? Yes, Mr. Pildes.
All right. I'd like to welcome the new principals that are here tonight. Congratulations. Job well done on whoever hired that. We need them. I hear a little double dipping for that 60-day thing. So they seem very committed, and that's a positive step forward, hitting the ground running. So congratulations, welcome. We'll wish you all the best. New teachers as well. Congratulations to all the principals who hired the new teachers. I was in my classroom today. I just want to personally either tell Sonny or Mr. Umar what a phenomenal job the 12-month staff, the custodial staff, the secretarial staff, the building and ground staff. It looks great. Like my building is shiny. You know, wait till a couple kids fall on it, but it looks beautiful. And I think the 12-month maintenance staff, secretarial staff who are doing numerous behind-the-scene jobs don't get a shout out, and I think they need one.
Very good.
Oh, yeah, and the oh, sorry, and the tech guy, woo, what an awesome job. So, all right, I also was able to get a personal tour of the new gymnasium bleachers at Glen Landing and the paint job. Bright for me, but it's school color, so I'm loving it. Thank you very much for that. Just imagine what a science lab would look like if the gym looks that good.
How did we know you were gonna get that?
Science lab.
Just a side note on the buses, there, you were talking about bus drivers. Are we still encouraging the parents for parent pickup during, now that COVID, I guess, a year ago at this time, we were encouraging a lot of parent transfer. Elementary and middle school parent pickup, it's like, look like you're going to a Jimmy Buffett concert out there, you know, in all those cars. Did you encourage that again? Or not?
Are you referring to Loring Fleming and Glen Landing?
Well, that's what I get personally.
Yeah,
I don't know.
well,
if the other buildings-
they are extraordinary on how they have parent drop-offs. I don't know if those
That was
children,
encouraged for COVID.
yes, we're not encouraging it, is the short answer.
Okay.
But whether I encouraged it or dissuaded it, I would imagine that the same level of cars would show up at each building. They have,
Well, we have,
forever.
it runs like a fine-tuned machine.
well, to the credit of the staff in those buildings, yes, there's a lot of volume.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, it does run well, but I thought that was only because of COVID, you encouraged parents to try to transport.
We're not encouraging it anymore.
Now, I'm assuming COVID things are getting a little more relaxed in this, from this time last year to now. Are the middle schools still in codes?
No. 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 The answer to your question is we expect to return to normal operations. Hopefully, I hate to say pre-COVID, but if everyone's been listening to either the CDC on their announcement and or the governor, it appears as though there is a lot of information that is, I don't want to say retreating, but I do think they have a handle on this virus now, and there's a lot of different means and methods to go after it. There's vaccines, and they now know even the amount of time they've changed the quarantine. So we are waiting. Hopefully the New Jersey Department of Health comes out with a little guideline, update to their guidelines, which we will in turn get out to our administration, to our staff, more importantly to our parents, But I would expect that business or just return to normal operation should be the thing as we walk into the year.
So does that have to be, when a CDC brings out a new guideline or a new advisement, does it have to be board approved or is it automatically law?
No, it's not automatic. It's not board approved. What typically happens is the CDC will do something federally. The state, then Department of Health follows a lot of their edicts, and then they push down to us what they would advise us to be the guidelines.
So we don't have to vote.
No, we don't.
So
We'll be told about it.
Testing for teachers. is that what
Testing for
is
teachers
over.
was over as soon as it was announced by the governor.
But do we need it board approved?
No,
No.
we have to follow that regardless.
No, Mr. Mercado already told everyone it had ceased that week we heard from the governor with the executive order.
You have one to be determined thing, and Ms. Jones told me that she was trying to do for Orlando to get it on there, the environmental public domain. So TBD is. Okay.
All right.
I thought you were gonna put it as one of the 12 changes.
No, we have to talk. No. We'll address it. We'll address it.
Appreciate your time. Oh, Mr. West. WPEA. So, thank you, Sue. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other? Yes,
I see that we've been doing this,
name, I'm sorry, please.
Terry Fletchbach with New Jersey. I see that we've been videoing and doing this for the last 2 or 3 meetings, and we're doing it again tonight. When will it actually be available to parents?
Hopefully this round, the last round was not very audible for anybody to hear. So we got some new equipment, some new microphones. So we'll see how this test round goes, hopefully very soon.
Very soon is like before school starts? Or not?
We're hoping.
And then my second comment was on his, as a grandparent who has spent a great deal of time at bus stops with various grandchildren in different schools, some of those parents drive their kids because they have to get to work, and unfortunately, like all schools, we don't have enough bus drivers, and you might be there, I mean, I've been there last year as long as 40 minutes or 45 minutes waiting for a bus, and they're just like, I have to go, I'm gonna have to drop you off. Now, I don't know what happens when they get to school and they think they're actually gonna drop their child off, because that's also that great big long line. So, but that's, some of those cars that are in there are those parents, and of course, other parents are at the bus stop saying you can leave your child, we're all here, and we'll watch it for you, but you know, some parents don't want to do that.
Aren't comfortable with that.
So that's part of it, it's not just COVID, it is parents getting that ridiculously long line, I've been in it. But, yeah,
Me too.
that's something, whether you ask them to or tell them not to, you're gonna have,
Still gonna be a battle.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am, you've been waiting patiently.
Hi, so I'm calling back from Somerville, New Jersey. I have a kid at Choose. Last board meeting, we were talking about the new health curriculum content, we're supposed to receive the content of what the grade levels were going to be taught. I haven't received anything yet, I believe. Just wondering if we're getting that.
Mr. Trout?
Board just approved it tonight. The teachers finished writing it a week ago. And so our plan is, now that it's approved, we have some materials ready that we're going to post to the website. We'll send out a blast to parents. Parents had that question. See it, a lot of them said in the survey, they wanted to see it before they make a final decision. So we will be putting that out, we're hoping in the next couple of days, but definitely we'll get it out.
So we'll see it before it's on.
Correct.
And then we'll have, if we need to opt out, or we need to just, we'll have that change. Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Do I have any other comments? I see none. We'll move on to board member comments.
Just one.
Yes.
I'd just like to welcome all the new staff, as well as I see that some of the other administration came out to support your new hires. I think that's a good thing, and welcome everybody into a good year coming up.
Yes.
I have a question on solace care. I know I brought this up before. I know it's supposed to be for staff. Is it my understanding parents can use this also?
They can.
Okay, how are we getting it out there that there is such a thing that people can go to get help from How is it being put out there into the public? Are teachers aware of it? Are the parents aware of it? And how are we getting it out there so that if they do need help, it's there for them? I mean, we're paying for it and I want people to use it if they feel they have to use it, if they have a need for it. I just want to know how it's being put out there so people are aware of it.
Well, the timing of when we onboarded that, I guess, product or set of services was kind of late in the year.
Do you want to explain what it is?
Care Solace is a resource that parents and guardians, students, even members of the community can go to. And just in this example, let's just say there's an addiction in the family. Let's just say it's alcohol addiction. They don't want to bring that forward. They may mention it to a staff member. They don't have to. We have it on our website. When someone goes to explain that they're having an issue in their home, and in this example, it's the father is drinking too much, they believe. It's confidential. The Board of Education cannot track any of it. We can get reports on usage, but we don't know that type of detail. This can be for anyone really in the community. We have it on the website that you can access and start talking. They have a very wide network of people. Then they'll kind of take intake, Mrs. Gilch, find out what the issue is, and then someone who's a specialist in that field then calls. Again, we don't know what's going on. The Human Resource Department doesn't know what's going on. Nothing's in anyone's personnel file. No one in student file. It is something that we just felt with a lot of the de facto illnesses, even including mental illnesses and a lot of stressors in families out there, that we wanted to give another resource. I will be honest with you, Dr. Martin brought it to my attention, and she had heard about it from another school district, and she started showing me, and I actually thought that was pretty, affluent, I'll say, community, but even in affluent communities, their numbers for not a very big district were pretty impressive. And a lot of the people who had used it, the ones willing to say they'd used it, complimented it. So I sent Mr. Tro, Dr. Martin, and Mr. Mikado to tease it out, vet it a bit as it would. They all came back, said we need this resource. I think we're using, I don't know, Mrs. Grossi, if we're using some of our federal funds for it, but I think we are. I think we needed it here in the community. We need to go back out again and say it's there and advertise it, hit the bell a little harder.
Right,
I
because
agree with
I
you.
don't think people are aware of it.
I
And
don't
think it's a
dispute that.
great
I
thing
don't,
to
I don't
have.
dispute that point.
But I mean, if we could put an email blast out, or we could put a text blast out.
Something community-wide to
Yep.
To let them know,
come
because
back up.
it is a good thing, and I think we should,
Did you say it's no cost?
We had a fee,
To us, I mean, to the people that use it.
no cost to
No
those
cost to
people
people
using
who use
it,
it. That's
and it's
fine.
but I
totally
want people
confidential.
to know that it's
Yeah.
available for that.
Yep.
That if
And
they
I-
need it.
So,
So please work on that.
Dr.
if you
Martin,
can.
you and I have a chit chat tomorrow? Oh,
We have already, and we've been sending out the blast, both email and phone. And then we're gonna do another blast as soon as the students return. And then the school counselors and the nurses and our support staff will continue to share it with families and staff. And what we're gonna do, we'll create a new, onboarding situation so that more people have.
Thank you, because it's a great thing. I just want to make sure people are aware and that if they need it.
It's the big, it's on the district website, as soon as you log on.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I do. We had our curriculum meeting earlier this afternoon, and I wanted to congratulate the district on the summer programs that were run. We went over some of those numbers and what they're about, and really great. Another set of programs that are at no cost to our community. There's the Step Up program, the arts program, the band program. There's the Bridge to Kindergarten program. Just really, it was great to hear those. And I wanted to say I'm really encouraged by the work that the administration is doing and looking into activities around DE&I, considering the many conversations that we've had around it. That systematic viewpoint is great to see. So really encouraged by that. Thank you very much. Welcome to our new folks. And, as always, as we go into a new school year, there's always challenges, as I've come to find over the last 3 years at the start of school year. But, we're a community and we come together to address the challenges and celebrate successes together. So really looking forward to a new school year. So thanks a lot.
Any other? I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to come out tonight. May I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night.
Hey, Greg.